What does it take to bring down something magnificent? Not war, not disease. Sometimes all it takes is a king who turns his back on the divine. A prince who dismisses the gentle counsel of the wise and experienced elders. And a subject who abandons his trust in a promise larger than himself. For generations, Israel stood as a beautiful light among the surrounding nations. King David had forged them into one united people through deep devotion. His son, Solomon, crowned that unity with an unimaginable earthly splendor. Gold poured into the capital city from every trade route known to man. Magnificent architecture began to reshape the landscape of the Promised Land. The crown jewel of his reign was the temple, rising high above Mount Moriah. Solomon's kingdom stretched flawlessly from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River. Rulers from across the known world traveled just to hear his legendary wisdom. The crown jewel of his reign was the temple, rising high above Mount Moriah. It took 7 intense years of construction to build this house for God's name. There was nothing like it on earth, a sanctuary of peace and divine presence.
In his early years, Solomon walked genuinely close to the Lord who blessed him.
Yet, even during those years of absolute splendor, the foundations were quietly undermining. The ancient law given through Moses had laid out very clear guardrails for kings. The first rule, do not accumulate massive armies of horses from Egypt. The second rule, do not multiply silver and gold for personal greed. And above all, do not take many foreign wives, for they will turn your heart away. Solomon crossed every single one of those sacred lines without hesitation. Let it be so. Your counsel is wise. He took 700 wives and 300 concubines from pagan nations. Predictably, exactly what the law warned about began to take root in his heart. The very king who built God's house was now bowing before wood and stone. Shrines to Moloch and Ashtoreth now defiled the hills overlooking holy Jerusalem. God decreed a heavy judgment. Because Solomon broke the covenant, the kingdom would be torn away from his line. Out of Solomon's court rose Jeroboam, a highly capable leader who earned the fierce respect of the northern tribes. The prophet Ahijah met him on a lonely road and dramatically ripped his own brand new cloak into 12 pieces. By handing 10 specific pieces to Jeroboam, the prophet symbolized that God was granting him rule over 10 tribes. To escape the deadly paranoia of King Solomon, Jeroboam fled to Egypt, waiting in exile until the old king passed away. Solomon's arrogant son, Rehoboam, took the crown and went to meet the restless northern tribes at the historic city of Shechem.
My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to it.
Accompanied by a returned Jeroboam, the leaders presented a single request to lighten their crushing taxes and forced labor. Rehoboam completely rejected the wise counsel of his father's old advisors, choosing instead the ruthless opinions of his young friends.
He returned to the crowd with a brutal response, trying to replace his father's simple whips with deadly, barbed scorpion lashes.
In a desperate attempt to force order, Rehoboam sent his labor boss, but the enraged mob violently stoned the official to death.
The terrified king fled back to Jerusalem. The legendary United Kingdom was dead, and the nation fractured into two rival borders. An immediate civil war was barely averted when a prophet warned the massive southern army not to fight their own brothers.
Jeroboam now ruled the north, but a deep political paranoia consumed his mind regarding the holy temple located in Jerusalem.
Fearing his subjects would return their loyalty to the house of David during religious feasts, he traded faith for absolute control.
He constructed two massive golden calves, setting one at the southern border in Bethel and the other in the far north at Dan. He misled the entire nation by presenting these golden idols as the very gods that brought them out of Egypt. He banned the legitimate Levites, appointed unauthorized commoners as priests, and completely corrupted the sacred system of worship.
When an enraged Jeroboam ordered the prophet to be seized, his outstretched arm instantly paralyzed and withered like dead wood.
At that very second, the unholy stone altar split completely wide open, spilling its dark ashes across the temple floor. Even though his hand was later restored through prayer, Jeroboam stubbornly refused to repent, sealing the spiritual ruin of the north. The southern kingdom fell into deep corruption as well. The toxic poison of false worship ran rampant on both sides of the border.
This ancient fracture stands as a timeless warning to us all, illustrating the danger of small, gradual compromises of the heart.
The kingdom tore because the people forgot who they were and whose they were. The way back always begins with remembering.